Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And here with me today, I have Kilian Zierer from Auburn. He's an offensive tackle. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too.
I don't know if I butchered that last name, but I tried my best to
It
pronounce
was good.
that how it's supposed to. Um, but you're a big dude from Germany who you found your way here, playing in the States. Um, so I know you have an excellent story to share, so which is part of the reason why I reached out to you for this interview. So go ahead and give us some of that background as to you, I guess, ultimately getting over here.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Munich, Germany. I lived there for about 17 years, moved down south of Germany for another year. And then I eventually came to the States when I was barely 18 years old. Went straight to junior college in California. It's called College of the Canyons. Played there for 2 seasons. I was really only for a year and a half because I came straight going in fall camp. And then transferred to Auburn in January of 2020. And spent the past 3 years here. Um, yeah, I just finished my pro day 2 days ago. So
All right. Well, that kind of catches us up, so to speak. So you came to the US when you're 18 years old. Um, Bit of a culture shock or what, man? Give me a feel for that whole I don't know, thing about traveling over here.
absolutely, it was like a culture shock, but it wasn't like a bad culture shock, if that makes sense. It was more like a like everybody in Germany was like so hyped for me to go to California because that's what everybody wants to go there. Everybody I've talked to was like, "Oh, you're going to California, LA. I wish I could go," stuff like that. So it was more of a great experience than it was like, "Oh, I don't know, I might want to go back home." That was like never the thought. It was just going there, and it was a great experience. So um, I kind of knew what the U.S. was like because I was here in 2015. I was in Fort Myers, Florida, just for vacation. Really, I was there for 3 weeks, and that was when I watched my first football game. So it was the first time I really got introduced to football. And I was 15 years old at the time, and I started playing when I was 16. So I kind of knew how different the U.S. is from Germany, but
Interesting.
it was still a big difference going to California for.
So give me a feel for the sport of American football in Germany. I mean, how is that received over there?
Yeah, so when I started playing, it was still very small. Um, but the year I started playing, so the previous season, the 2015 NFL season, I think it was the first season they like completely streamed it in Germany on TV. Not every game, but they had like I think it's like 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. slots here in the U.S. They had those in Germany, so they had like 2 games every Sunday, and it was a huge deal. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and everybody started watching it. So nowadays, football is a lot bigger than when I played. But back then, it was club based. I went to practice twice a week, and it's all for fun. You play in a very there's not a lot of teams. You travel all over Bavaria in my case. Um, but it's all you play for fun. You play with your friends. Not
There's
very amateur based. You don't have a weight room. You don't have meetings. You don't have a lot of time for conditioning or off season training. It's you got to practice twice a week. You have fun out there. You have a couple plays, and you just try to win games and have fun.
Wow, so not very not as competitive, maybe perhaps. I don't know if that's the correct way of saying it, or not as intense. How's that? Maybe that's a better term. I don't
Yeah.
know. Um, so growing up, did you participate in any other sports? Can you give me some of your background in that regard?
Yeah, so I played soccer for about 10 years. I tried another couple sports here and there, but the only sport I really played for a long time was soccer. I started playing when I was about 5, and I stopped when I was like 15, and then when I was 16, I started playing football. So I have a long soccer background going into football.
Gotcha. So you went from football to obviously football, so
Yeah.
European and then now American football, completely two different sports. Obviously you are pursuing the game of American football, so I gotta ask the question, why do you like the game of American football? Why do you what draws you to it?
Yeah. So like I said, the first time I was in the US was the first time I watched a football game. It was the Patriots and the Steelers kickoff in 2015, and I saw it on TV. And it was really the first time I ever watched a football game. Like I heard about it, I knew somebody I grew up with was playing it, but I really had no idea. But then when I watched it, it was just so fascinating to watch. I saw all these tight ends catch touchdowns. It was Gronk that game had like three, and at that time I was like 6'6", not as big as him, but I was tall, and I just saw that large human being run down there, catch touchdowns, and saw those O linemen block. Um, and it was just it was just fascinating to me because I've never seen it before. So when I went back home, I watched the entire season, and I just fell in love with it. So when I was 16, I tried out for a team. It wasn't really a tryout. I knew a couple friends that I grew up with playing soccer that started playing at a club in Munich, and they kind of asked me if I just wanted to come to practice and try it out. And I went there, loved it, and just stuck around. And what's so different about football compared to soccer is just in soccer you have all these, not tiny dudes, but you have all these skinny guys. They all somewhat look the same, and then you have a football team where people come from all over the place. They all look different. There's guys on the team that are like 160 pounds. There's guys on the team that are like 350. There's guys that are 5'5", and there's guys that are 6'9". It's the ultimate team sport, and there's just people from all over the place. People with all different body types can play it, and I don't think there's any sport like it.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I like it too. I mean, it's just very unique in that regard. Speaking of height and weight and size and all that stuff, give us an idea of your own personal frame. I mean, obviously, I introduced you as an offensive tackle, so you got to be a pretty big guy, right?
Yeah, I'm about. Well, they measured me on pro day. I was 6'07" too, so that's 6'7" and 2/8, right? And I weighed in at 307. So yeah, 6'7", about 310 is where I try to be.
So 310, that's like your normal playing weight.
So right now, well, I'm trying to be there between like 310, 315. I feel like that's a good weight going into the NFL. I played a little lighter the last 2 years. Really, I was around 300 ish. Um, but when I came to the states first time, I weighed in at 238. So I've gained quite a bit of weight in the past 4.5 years.
Right. Well, you kind of have to grow into yourself. So and
Yeah.
that's how it goes. So you came to the United States, went to JUCO for a little bit, and then ultimately found your way there at Auburn. So let's talk about Auburn, if you don't mind. I mean, obviously a very well-established, prolific university. What's it like to be a part of that university?
I think it's a huge honor. Auburn means family to me, and even though we didn't have the greatest seasons these past couple of years that I've been here, I wouldn't change it if I could do it over again. Um, when Auburn offered me my scholarship, I had no idea what Auburn was. I had no idea about its tradition, what the Iron Bowl is, where Auburn is, what state it's in, what stadium they play in, what conference. I had no idea. I just knew that the offense coordinator back then said I can come on an official visit, lead the next week. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I flew out here, and I was here for I think 3 days, and I just loved everything about it. The school, the people, the football program, the history, just everything about it just fit me, felt perfectly. So I knew from then on that I wanted to play here one day.
Cool. Yeah. What's Auburn? Auburn's a color, right? So it's just kind of fun. Funny. I mean, so you end up, getting there. And then of course, being a part of that offense, during your time there, probably switched up a little bit. Can you describe that offense? Like, how would you what sort of words would you use to describe that offense?
Yeah, so when I got here in 2020, Gus Malzahn was still the head coach, and his philosophy was no huddle, fast paced, no huddle offense. So it was a lot of on the ball as fast as possible, try to force the defense to um, line up as quickly as possible. Then when Brian Harsin came in these past 2 years, we ran more of a pro style offense. Our first year, we still ran somewhat similar plays that we had with Gus, but a lot more pro style. And last year, I think we really went to we were a huddle offense. It was very, in my opinion, very NFL like the plays we ran and how we conducted it. So I feel like I've been through all the kind of different systems that you can have within these past 2 years.
And you, as an offensive lineman and offensive tackle, can you give me some sense of your overall experience, like where you've lined up, like and where's your most experience along that offensive line?
Yeah, so here at Auburn, I started 16 games total, I think, in the past 2 years. 15 of those were at left tackle, one was at right tackle, and I've played a couple more games. Just didn't start them. And then in junior college, my first year, I was a right tackle. Um, Started there most games, was moved to left a little bit when our left tackle got hurt. And then my second year, I started left tackle. So I've been really all over the place, but mainly at Auburn, I was at left, still with the ability to move it right.
Good. When you see yourself transitioning to the next level as an NFL prospect, how do you see yourself transitioning? I mean, give me some sense of that and maybe what you believe are some of your better attributes as a prospect.
Yeah, I think one of my best attributes is, which has to do with my soccer background, is that I played 10 years of soccer. It translates well into moving my feet quickly as an offensive lineman. So I think I'm very agile on my feet. I can mirror guys really well on my feet, and I see myself 6'7", 310. I think that's a really good those are really good measurements as a tackle. A tackle that can move his feet well is always great because you can fix the upper body, you can fix the head placement, you can fix all those. But if you have somebody that's heavy on their feet, it's hard to fix. So I know I'm still somewhat raw going into the highest level of football, but I think I have all the attributes that you need.
I never asked this question, but what position did you play when you played soccer?
I was a striker for 6, 7, 8 years, and when I was like 6'3", 6'4", they put me in goal. So I was a goalie for
Of course, you got to put the big guy there,
yeah,
in order to, swat the balls and catch them
exactly.
and stuff. Um, I think it's interesting because the game of soccer, dude, is always going. I mean, you need some excellent stamina, to continue in that sport. And as a big guy, you would think that you would have an advantage, to be able to go out there and run like those no huddle offenses as a guy, obviously, trying to progress to the next level of football, that being the NFL. So I don't know. I think that does help you a whole lot. I think a lot of people might say, yeah, this guy, hasn't been playing this game as long, or maybe is raw. But I mean, you do have a lot of the tools that, people look at when you want to literally build an offensive lineman. They look like you, they move like you. So I mean, those things will help you as you move forward to the next level. So um, Kilian, you closed up your time there at Auburn, successfully, I believe, giving you also an opportunity to play at the East-West Shrine game. So, talk about your experience at the East-West Shrine. Maybe some of the highlights of that week.
Yeah, so I was invited, I think, late November, and I talked with Eric Galco, and it was an awesome moment when he told me I'm invited to the game. I accepted it right away. I knew I was wanting to play there, and so the East West Shrine was I think it's been in Vegas for these past couple years, and we were there for about 8 days, I think, and we practiced 4 times. I was coached by the Atlanta Falcons. I was on the East team, We had 3 training sessions at UNLV and then one at the new Raiders facility, which is massive. And then we got to play in their new stadium too, which is probably the biggest, the coolest stadium I've probably ever seen in my life. So that was a pretty cool moment.
Interesting. So, biggest thing about all-star events like that, I feel, is relationships. Whether it be the guys that you meet there that who are the players, some of the coaches, and actually sitting down and talking to some NFL teams. And so, kind of want to park there for a little bit. Give me a feel for some of the, at least like the number of teams that you actually sat down and talked to.
I don't have the exact number, but I'd say about 20. About 20 is who I talked to during my time there.
That's a lot, man. And how and what about your I don't know, connections with the other people that are there? Can you maybe give an example of that?
Yeah, so obviously, um, where I trained, so I trained with Duke in at Sports Academy, and we had a bunch of guys go to the East West game, so we were like, already close with one another. But also, I met, we had I think 15 linemen on the East team, so I met a bunch of other guys, that have the same goal as I did, and it was just, it was a great experience to meet, so many guys that have the same passion for football and are trying to accomplish the same thing that you are, and obviously getting coached by an NFL team, seeing all the coaches around there, seeing Coach Smith, Coach Belichick just walk around that building in the hotel at practice. It's an awesome experience.
Yeah, I mean, you go out there and it almost feels like you're already in the NFL, with that whole feeling, with the setting, with the coaches, the competition around you. So, um, I gotta ask this question. So, I mean, have you been able to really digest the fact that you're an NFL prospect? Like when I say that, like what comes to mind for you, man? Where's your head at?
Yeah, some days, I'm like, yeah, I'm some days I don't believe it, and some days I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I get up early, work out, uh, and then I come home and I'm like, the draft is in like 6 weeks. I might have an opportunity to play at the highest level of football there is. Yeah, like I said, some days I still can't quite, believe it, but um, yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly hear your name, called during the draft. That's absolutely possible. But I also think that you're going to get your opportunity at some point. Someone's going to call you at some point, whether during or after.
Yeah,
Someone's going to say, "Hey, come over here, and we'll see what we can do with you." Whether we put you at left tackle, right tackle, maybe move you inside. I don't know, but someone's going to work with you, and give you that opportunity. So, Kilian, you put together a very solid career. When you think about everything that you've done, at Auburn, in JUCO, and also the East West, is there maybe a moment that sticks out for you, amongst others, like maybe your biggest highlight, your best game? Can you share one of those memories with me?
yeah, absolutely. That would be my first career start here at Auburn. It was against Arkansas in 2021. At that point, I really haven't played for 2 years. I had a couple of snaps in the first 2 games at the end when we were up by like 40. But that game was really the first time I was really to showcase myself again and to see if I can play and to see if I can play in this league, especially. And it was probably one of my better games, especially that year. And coming back, we won that game, and I just walked out of that stadium, and it was just an unbelievable moment that I really couldn't believe that I just played football again. So
Cool.
yeah, that was
So,
one of my better memories.
and when was that again? Was that 2020?
No, it's 2021.
Okay, so 2021. Do you remember who you were playing?
I was playing Arkansas at
Ar
Arkansas.
at Arkansas. And so obviously you go out there, it's your first start, and you live it up, man. And so it sounds great. Um, you had your pro day recently. which I think you did a pretty decent job at that. Um, but I kind of want to get your words, man. Tell me about your pro day overall.
Yeah, like I said, I was in Dallas training for 2 months. I was really preparing for 11, 12 weeks ish. So I had a long time to prepare for this one day. And I think I tested extremely well. I only I only got positive feedback. Saw a bunch of scouts again that I saw at the East West. Everybody I talked to was pretty positive about it. Um, so I think it went really, really well for me.
Good. And hopefully that will help propel you even more so up people's draft boards. So I do want to take a moment to meet this guy outside of football a little bit. So um, is there anything about you that you, I don't know, might think others might find interesting, whether it be your hobbies or other personal interests or passions in life? I mean, can you give me something about yourself that you want to share?
Um, yeah, obviously, I'm from a different country, and I love to travel. I grew up in Europe. I basically went to Italy every year for vacation. I was all over the place. I went to France, Denmark, Croatia, Spain. Been to Hawaii 2 years ago. Switzerland. I've been all over the place, and I've just seen so many different, places. And yeah, I think that's one of my biggest hobbies.
Cool. So, of the places that you haven't gone yet,
Yeah,
what's like on that list, like that bucket list that you haven't gone to yet?
I think Iceland is right up there. Um, Iceland. What else? We'll see. Um, Iceland and Morocco are two countries I really want to visit over the next couple of years.
That definitely sounds interesting. Completely different geographically. So, that
Yeah,
would
one is
def
more a summer vacation. The other one is more to see all the cool things that are up there in the winter.
interesting. Well, sounds fun. Of a guy from a different country, I always ask the food question. So, give me an idea of what you feel is like, I don't know, maybe like your favorite meal.
My favorite meal here, or my favorite meal in general.
Give me both or one. It
Oh,
doesn't matter.
okay. So for my favorite place to eat here is In and Out. Love In and Out. Really heard that there's none down here in the South. When I was back in Dallas, I went there quite a bit. When I was in California, I got introduced to it and just loved it after practice. Um, it tastes a lot better. So, and my favorite meal is my mom's pot roast. She prepares it for weeks, marinates it, does everything on her own, and it's my favorite meal.
That's awesome. Making me want a pot roast, man. I mean, I haven't had one in a little
Yeah.
while. So, awesome. Anything else about you that you want to share? I mean, or you okay with us kind of, closing up shop with our time?
Um, I don't know what else there would be that is a very interesting stat about me. So
Let me see. Are you a Coke or a Pepsi person?
I'm a Dr. Pepper person.
There you go. I like that answer. So, especially with the college scene, that goes over well. So, Kilian, it's been great getting to know you and your journey. And I want to give you really one last moment to talk to some scouts. I mean, like you said, I mean, you talked about two-thirds of the league.
Yeah,
And so let's talk to the rest of them, man. Tell them why they need to draft you, sign you, and give you an opportunity. So go ahead and finish with your pitch.
yeah. I think a team should draft me simply because one, I have all the tools that a tackle needs in this league, and two, that um, even though I might not, be the top prospect heading into this draft or haven't had the most experience, I think that I'm one of the tackles with the most upside in this draft. Um, like I said, haven't played the sport like others that have played this since they've been little kids. I really only played for the past 6 years, really. So I think my upside is a lot higher. My ceiling is a lot higher than some of these guys that are heading into this draft. Um, I think some of these guys are like close to finished projects, while I'm not. I think I can still get better and better and better and better. So that's why I think a team should pick me.
Interesting. So, here I am, mold me into what you want me to be. So, um, yeah, man, you do check a lot of boxes. I mean, it's not very often where you can find a guy 6'7" playing left tackle. Teams need that. They need that all the time. You need somebody available. Need somebody who can also play on the other side as well, which you have a lot of experience doing that. Um, you're also one of these guys where I feel like I don't know, you can change. You've changed a whole lot over the years, man, and you welcome these things, which I don't think a lot of people welcome, like some different lifestyle or a different setting, which I think is kind of strange, but you've been able to embrace it, and I think it's great, man. Um, Kilian, again, appreciate the interview and wish you all the best. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.